G'day world, Craig from Vinegar Hydroblasting. Welcome to episode 1 of Tool-A-Getting, where I'm making new tools for the new mill. Got these little slitting saw blades arrived in the mail during the week. Got them off eBay. Heck, got an extra one they didn't know about. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make an arbor to fit this. I'm going to make the arbor about 6 inches long, so I've got plenty of clearance on the mill. And if that one works, I'll make one about 4 inches long, and I'll make one about 2 inches long, so I've got a bit of variety. Anyhow, stick around and see what we can do. Well, every little project needs a plan, so a lot of these guys out there on YouTube are using AutoCAD to draw these things up. I'm using manual CAD and a brain. Here's what we're going to make. Here's what we're going to use. And I've got a piece of 30mm bright mild steel here. First thing we're going to need to do with that 30mm bar is cut off a piece about 190mm long. And to cut that bar, we're going to use this bad boy. Just check the temperature. It's only about 26, 27 degrees. Things are fairly dry, but I don't think there'll be any chance of fire. Righto, what we need to do now is take it over to the lathe and we'll machine that down about 40mm in length and to 20mm in diameter so that it fits inside the 20mm collet on the mill. Righto, let's go. Well, this is what happens when you fly by the seat of your pants. That 30mm bar is too big to go right into the guts of the chuck. So what I'll have to do is I'll put a centre drill in here and put a live centre in the tailstock and turn that down about 40mm in length to 20mm in diameter to fit inside the collet. Righto, what we'll do here is we'll clean up a bit of this end and then we'll measure on here. We'll mark 40mm, thereabouts. Close enough, and we'll start machining. Well, there's the first rookie error when you haven't done this for a little while. We didn't lock up our tailstock. Let's go again. Well, we've turned that bit there down to just a fraction under 20mm. What I'll do is I'll just give that a bit of a rub with emery, run a file on those edges, then we'll spin it round and we'll start knocking this diameter down to the 24mm, I think it is, that I'm after. Righto, we'll back that tailstock off and see if the collet goes on there. Oh yeah, look at that. That's perfect. Well, I've spun that round in the chuck. We'll just clean up this face, centre drill it again, and pop the live centre in, and then we'll start turning this down. Doesn't look real pretty, but seems to be running reasonably true. That's close enough to 24mm for me. Well, I've got a plan A and a plan B for this arbor. Because it's sticking so far out of the vise, I was going to run a 16mm drill in there and hopefully it would be 16mm. And then make a 16mm clamping cap that goes over this end. If plan A goes ahead, the cap will fit neatly inside that bore and we'll clamp that up onto there, no problem at all. If plan A goes awry, we're going to have to cut a piece off and then we'll machine a 16mm step so that I can just slide the slitting saw onto that arbor and then put the clamp on the outside and have it centralised on a 16mm step on this arbor itself. But anyway, we'll put a drill up the guts of this thing and then we'll plonk the 16mm drill in the end of it and we'll measure that and see what happens. Well, whatever way we go with this arbor, we're going to have a 6mm thread tapped up the guts of that. So I've run a 5mm drill up there. Yeah, as I said, either way, if we have to cut it off, we're still going to need a 6mm thread in there. So, righto, let's drill a hole in it. Okay, we'll sink that 5/8 drill in there. We'll probably take it in about 8mm so that if we do have to cut it off, we don't have to cut heaps off. We might slow that down a bit. Well, plan A was a fail. I've got no slow speed belt for the lathe. I bought this in 2006 and somewhere since then the belt's gone missing. But anyhow, we'll turn the end off that, go to plan B and we'll put a step on the end of it that takes the little slit saw. Okay, we'll move on. Well, here's what we're up to now. As you can see, I've turned a step down in this. That there is for that slitting saw. That's a perfect fit on there. So there's no side to side on that. And I've recessed that that corner in there so that there's no round corner that'll catch up on that saw. Now I've got to machine that down so that it's just a little bit less than the thickness of the saw, and then I'll drill that out, tap that, and I will make a cap for it then. But anyway, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. There we go, that feels just right. That arbor there is just slightly lower than that slitting saw blade. Unfortunately, I'll only be able to use it on this one because this is a 1mm blade, the others are 1/2mm blades. Now we'll run a drill in there and we'll put a thread in there as well. So this is what I'm using to hold the arbor on, is this 6mm bolt with a socket head. So that measures 10mm across there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 13mm hole into there in about 10mm so that I've got somewhere for the plug cap to line up inside that when this part's done to clamp the slitting saw. Anyhow, keep watching, you'll get what I mean. So for now, I'll run a 13mm hole in there, about 10mm deep. Well, as I had before, I'm probably going to struggle drilling this hole with the speed the lathe's running at, and I can't tune it down any lower, but this hole isn't as critical for an internal bore size as the other one was, so we'll just have to grin and bear it. Anyway, let's go. Well, that actually worked out pretty good. That sits on there perfectly. Now we'll run a 6mm tap down the guts of that and put a thread on the inside. and this part will be finished. I actually just told you guys a fib. When I've done this threaded section, this part isn't finished because I'm going to run a 12mm drill up the arse of the other end and take out a heap of metal from the inside to make it a bit lighter. Anyway, let's run a couple of taps down in this and see what we can do. Here we go, that started nicely. And there's nothing really special to see here. All I'm going to do is just run a series of drills up the guts of that until I get up to 12mm diameter and poke that up as far as I can go, and that should reduce the weight of the arbor somewhat. And through the magic of television, we now have a 12mm hole bored up the guts of that down a few inches as far as I could get it. Hopefully a lot lighter than it used to be. Well, that's the main part of the arbor done. That's looking pretty special, isn't it? Everything fitting like a glove so far. I've done a bit of an adjustment on me brain CAD drawing. I'll give you a look at that. And here's me brain CAD drawing. That's come up pretty close, hasn't it? Anyway, that's the cap we're going to make there. I've done some calculations. I've done the math off camera. Now we're going to make one of these. All the sizes. Should be a peach of cake. Now we'll get on to making this cap. So the first thing we're going to do here is turn down that 11.95mm diameter down to about 8mm. That 11.95 needs to be fairly accurate, so we'll do that first in case I muck it up, then we just machine it off and start again. All right, let's have a crack. Well, there we go. We've turned that there down to the desired diameter. We've put a little bit of a recess in there to take the radius off the corner so it doesn't clamp on the inner edge of the slitting saw. So that slides on there beautifully. So that should keep that arbor fairly central. Now, what we've got to do is we will turn this diameter down to the same diameter as that, which is 24mm. Then we'll pop a 6mm clearance drill in there through the guts of it, then we'll part it off, and then we'll turn it round and start working on the other side. Well, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but I've drilled that, I've put a 6.5mm drill up the guts of that, up about 23mm thereabouts, so it should give me plenty of room to part off. That's at size, that's at 24mm, that matches the outer diameter of the arbor. Now I'll put the parting tool in. I've only got one tip, so hopefully I don't break it. If I do, I'll just have to cut it off with the hacksaw. But anyhow, we'll mount that up and give you a look. Well, I've got that parting tool set about 4mm deep there. That'll give me a bit of room to move. When I turn it round, I can take the other side down to size when I'm machining the indent in the other side of that. Anyhow, let's have a crack and see what happens. Well, that's no good. We might check the height of that parting tool. Well, here's take two with the parting tool. The height of the parting tool was all right, but it was sitting back in the holder too far, and the edge of the holder was rubbing on the job, so it was never going to cut. We've just moved it out a bit. Who knows what'll happen here, but here goes nothing. We'll just make sure that's spinning the right way. There we go. No, I reckon that parting tool's blunt. Well, I just tried to trim that up on the grinder. I reckon this is take 3. If this doesn't work, we'll be going to the grinder and the hacksaw. That's not good. That's just spun the tool holder. Hang on. Yeah, nah, grinder it is. Well, there it is after an appointment with the angle grinder. I don't know why I bother with parting off tools. I probably need to watch a few lessons on YouTube. But anyhow, we'll trim this down to about 3mm, and then we'll get a 10mm end mill and countersink into there so the head of the socket screw disappears inside there. Righto, let's have a crack. Well, here's the final part of the jigsaw right here. I've put a 10mm end mill in there. We've got to dunk it in there 7mm, and then we should be able to put everything all together. So let's see how this works. Righto, that should be about 7mm. Reckon that's going to be close enough. The head of that socket edge screw disappears in there just nicely. We'll just deburr that and pull it out and see if we can put it all together. Okay folks, now for the moment of truth. Let's see if this all goes together. Well, there's all the parts. Tell you what, they look just like the drawings. Let's stick this saw on here. Make sure the teeth are going the right way. Which way is that going to cut? That way. So that goes on there like that. That, in theory, pops down in there. That should go in there. We screw that down. Nip that up tight. And the way that is designed there, that cutting edge is running that way, so when that's spinning clockwise, that's, if anything, that's going to tighten that nut up on that arbor even more. But, oh, look at that. No movement there at all. Hold it to the light. No gap between the saw and the arbor or the cap. Let's mount this bastard in the mill and see if it works. Well, there it is mounted up in the new mill. We'll turn her on and see how she looks. Better stand back. Oh, that looks all right. Very, very slight amount of run out there, but I reckon that's acceptable. Let's find a bit of aluminium or something and chuck in there and see if we can cut it. Well, I've just had an experiment with this, and deep cuts aren't real good for this thing. So we'll take a number of shallow cuts and see if we can knock the top off this. Well, there we go. That's managed to cut the top off that. I looked at this and I thought, oh, there's a step in that. What the hell's gone wrong here? And I thought, oh, maybe the arbor's too long, and yes, it is. I could probably knock 2 inches off that, and make an even shorter one again. But apart from that, it worked very well. And this step here, I looked at it and I thought, what the hell's going on there? And then I realised when I made those V-blocks, I had this cutting head spun around at 45 degrees. And when I put it back, I just put it on the 0 mark and didn't true it in or anything like that. So that will be what that step is. This thing is slightly skew-if. So, but apart from that, I'd call that a success. Happy days. Well, there you go, folks. Have a look at that. That's the first tool for the new lathe, and it's a success. What I am going to do now is, the next tool I make is going to be to hold the bloody collet chuck while I nip it up. I give you a spanner for that one, but don't give you a spanner to hold it there. So I'm going to have to make something for that. That'll probably be next. Anyhow, hope you got something from that. A bit of fun, eh? Thanks for tuning in, and if you like what you see, push the subscribe button, hit the like button, do all that shit, and tune in again. Okay, catch you later, dudes.